Hi, everyone. Hang tight. We're going to give everyone just one more minute to hop on, and then we will get started. Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Uber Vouchers webinar. We are super excited to spend the next 20 to 30 minutes giving you an overview on what Uber Vouchers are, how can you use them within your role, and then how quickly and easily our team can get you set up so that you can start using this tool to really delight your colleagues and your clients. My name is Bromley Shields, and I lead the tech vertical within our strategic account segment. Our strategic team was built to provide a more hands-on approach to a select group of our largest partners, which actually includes all of you and the wonderful companies that you work at. I have been at Uber for just over 5 years and have really seen our vouchers product evolve and improve since it first launched a few years ago. What's been really cool, in my opinion, is seeing how many of the features and enhancements that we've added to the product are actually a direct result of feedback we've heard from folks like you as they begin using vouchers. So please, after the webinar and once you begin using vouchers, let us know what you think. We want to hear from you so that we can continue innovating and improving this product. So let's jump in and go through the agenda so you have an idea of what we'll cover in the next 20 minutes or so. We'll kick off with an overview of what Uber vouchers are and how you can use them in your role for both internal and external events. From there, we'll actually demo the product to give you a better idea of how intuitive the tool is and the different features that we have. After we wrap the demo, next comes user experience. This will dig into how your guests actually redeem and use their voucher. And then towards the tail end of our time together, we'll cover frequently asked questions to make sure that you feel comfortable creating and distributing vouchers. And then lastly, we'll outline clear next steps on how we're really going to help you get set up with your own Uber for Business dashboard. So let's dive in. As most of you know, Uber started as a consumer platform and has grown to be the most downloaded travel and food delivery app in the world. What this means is that your teams and your customers, they're already choosing Uber in their personal life. So providing them the gift of Uber is something that, one, they'll be familiar with, and two, they'll be excited about. Uber for Business was built on top of this consumer technology to offer seamless solutions for companies to track and expense business travel and meals for their employees. And over the last few years, we've really grown exponentially. We now have 150,000 live customers across 26 different countries. And as our growth among organizations grew, so too did our business offering. We stepped beyond just helping employees separate their business and personal rides as they traveled for business and thought of ways that companies like yours could really leverage Uber across all aspects of their business, whether that be for their employees, their customers, or even their candidates. So with your roles and your job functions in mind, today we'll really be double clicking into how our vouchers product can make your events more seamless, whether those be in person, virtual, or somewhere in between. So with that, let's jump into what exactly are Uber vouchers? How can you use them? And how are they different than gift cards? At a high level, vouchers let companies cover the cost of rides or meals for their employees and customers to really drive engagement and loyalty in moments that are going to matter the most to your business. So, what makes vouchers unique? For starters, you build your voucher based on the parameters that you want. You can add restrictions like date and time, the number of attendees, and choose if you want to cover the entire ride or the entire meal or just a set dollar amount. Next, you get to take advantage of Uber's global footprint and distribute one voucher to all of your colleagues or guests, regardless of where they're located. The same voucher can be used for folks in New York, LA, London, Australia. For you, that means way, way, way less heavy lifting since you can create one program and then Uber will do that heavy lifting and convert the budget you set to the recipient's local currency equivalent. Once you distribute your vouchers, you have full visibility into it and when those vouchers are actually being redeemed. And since our reporting is in real time, that also gives you the ability to be nimble and edit your voucher if you want to increase the number of people or increase the budget, extend the time, things like that. But the best thing about vouchers is really that there's no waste. You only pay for what gets used. So if not everyone uses their voucher or they don't use the full budget that you allocated, you really only pay for what was spent. And there's nothing additional on top. There's no setup fees, there's no service fees. You really are just paying for the meal or the ride. So how are teams like yours using Uber vouchers? This has absolutely changed and evolved over the past 2 years, as of course our lives and our work behaviors and environments have changed as well. Vouchers started out as a rides-only product. So teams would use this to provide complimentary rides to or from their event. This could be anything from a safe ride home from a company holiday party or rides to and from a conference as a perk for registering early. Then as the pandemic hit and put a screeching halt to live events and our work brought us into this new virtual world, our product team added Uber Eats to the vouchers capability as a way for teams to remain connected with the meal over Zoom. So today we see companies getting really, really creative with the different ways that they use our product. And we've highlighted here a handful of the most common use cases. We know that Zoom fatigue is real. Some of you are probably feeling that right at this very moment. So using vouchers to engage virtual attendees, for example, providing a free lunch during a virtual sales kickoff or as an incentive to drive attendance to a webinar is a really easy one-size-fits-all approach. We also see organizations using vouchers as prizes, whether it's for team contests or gifts for work anniversaries and birthdays, and most commonly, as a morale booster. It's really hard to connect with folks when you're not seeing them. You're not able to stop in the hallway, get to know someone. And so this is a way to remain connected, whether that be to celebrate the launch of a new product, the end of a successful quarter, or really just a recurring weekly team lunch. So taking this beyond current employees and customers, we're also really starting to see a spike in companies that are using vouchers during the candidate, new hire, and intern experience. We all know competition for talent is at an all-time high. It's fierce, fierce competition. And it's that much harder when you aren't inviting a candidate on campus where they get to really experience firsthand your company's culture by viewing the cafeteria, hearing the buzz as people are collaborating. So being able to provide a voucher for lunch the day of their big panel interview, or welcoming a new hire with a voucher for coffee and breakfast on day one. These little gestures really do pack a punch and set your company apart from the status quo. So now that you have kind of this high level understanding of what vouchers are, it's really important to recap how they differ from gift cards. The largest differentiator, again, comes back to that no waste. You pay for vouchers after they're used and only pay for what's used. Whereas with gift cards, you're paying upfront and you're paying in full, regardless if they ever get used or not. With vouchers, you can always do that one size fits all approach and provide one voucher for your global team. Gift cards are only available in select countries and they need to be purchased in the currency with which they'll be redeemed. So they're not quite as flexible there. And then vouchers have built-in controls that you are determining. So gift cards, similar to cash, those can be used whenever and for anything. And lastly, vouchers offers comprehensive reporting every step of the way, from the moment someone redeems to the moment they order to after the fact how much they spent. So now that we've kind of showcased the features and the benefits, it's time to see it in action. During today's demo, you are going to see firsthand and get familiar with the Uber for Business dashboard. This dashboard is your control hub. It's where you create and distribute your voucher and where you'll see all the different ways that you can customize the voucher. This is also where you'll get to see billing and reporting. So let's get started. And for today, let's assume I'm an executive assistant and I'm looking to plan a virtual sales kickoff. To create a voucher campaign, my dedicated Uber for Business team will have already set me up with my Uber for Business dashboard, and I'm going to start by logging into the dashboard. I can also go directly to vouchers.uber.com. And if you're thinking, I don't have a dashboard yet, I don't know what an Uber for Business dashboard is, don't worry, we're going to talk more about that at the end of the webinar. So here's this dashboard, and here I can see all of my active, upcoming, and past voucher programs for my organization. For me to create a new program for this sales kickoff, I'm going to click on the black box on the left-hand corner that says Create New Voucher. I'll then be asked to choose what kind of voucher campaign that I want. I have three options. I have vouchers for all products. This means I can use the same voucher, whether it's for a ride or for a meal. And then my other options are vouchers for Uber Eats and vouchers for rides. Since I'm planning a virtual sales kickoff, I'm going to be selecting the vouchers for Uber Eats. I'm now taken into the voucher creation experience. As you can see on the tracker on the right side of the page, it's a quick 4-step process, or really 5-step, to create the program. We first need to start with adding the basics of the program. Start off by naming your voucher. Keep in mind that your guests are going to see this. So when they access their voucher, you want to make sure that it clearly calls out your event and it's not something internal that only you will understand. I then enter the start and end time of the program. Also keep in mind that this is any point that you want the voucher to be valid. So I really recommend, if this was meant to be a virtual dinner, you want to give more than just like an hour or the 2 hours that you might be on Zoom. You want people to be able to prepare ahead and order before the Zoom starts or after it ends. So I do recommend being a little bit more generous with those time constraints. You also have the option of an internal memo. This is really helpful if you want to track how this is being categorized, whether it's by expense code or even by use case, for example, employee morale budget. Next, it's time to add the voucher details. Here I can select the number of vouchers, which is really synonymous to the number of people receiving the vouchers. So in this case, it would say 10. We would have 10 attendees. And then it also will show here the number of meals that each voucher covers. So the number of meals that each person is allotted and how much of that meal I would like to cover. So for example, if this is for my sales kickoff and I have 100 attendees, I enter 100 as the number of vouchers. And because we want to provide both lunch and dinner during the sales kickoff, I'm going to be giving 2 meals per voucher. That means each person gets 2 meals. And then I decide that the budget per that meal is $25. I could also choose to do a per meal percentage discount instead. For example, here you see in the bottom right-hand corner that it says I'm giving 25% off each meal, and that's up to $10. The third way I can cover a meal is to do a total credit value. This is almost like giving someone a lump sum, like a debit card that they can use over and over again until they either run out of the budget or the program date ends. We see this being used actually a lot for interns, almost as like a weekly meal allowance. So for example, an intern might get $50 per week, but they're at liberty to decide, do I want to stretch this out over multiple lunches, or do I want to use this for one big meal? And as a quick anecdote, when I think of those 3 different ways that you can decide how to allocate the budget, I would say the vast majority of our voucher programs choose that first option, a dollar amount off per meal. And for the sake of our example use case, I'm also going to be doing just a specified dollar off per meal. You're going to see on the right-hand side a cost estimator. It's by that little green calculator icon. This shows your total out-of-pocket expense. This was if every single voucher was redeemed and used in full. But as you know from earlier in the presentation, you only pay for what gets used. So this is really just showing you your maximum program cost. Now that we have the details of the voucher out of the way, we can talk about how to get these into the actual hands of my guests. So there's 2 ways to do that. If you have the contact information for your guests, we can actually do the heavy lifting for you. And we'll do this by sending an email and SMS, letting them know that they were given a voucher and how to claim and redeem that voucher. Or if you'd like to distribute the voucher yourself, we can provide you a link. That way, if you're sending an email with other information, you can drop that link right in there. I would say that the majority of our customers ought to have Uber send these out, and you'll see why as we go through the different distribution modes. If you do have the option, if you do want to add in the information directly into the dashboard, you can do this either individually by adding in, you'll see here, Angie Healy, we're going to add in 1 person at a time, or you can upload a file as a bulk upload. This is an easy way to have Uber send out the voucher on your behalf. However, here's a quick pro tip. As soon as you enter in this list of recipients and then go through the voucher flow and confirm the voucher, those recipients are going to receive the alert that they've been issued a voucher. A lot of our most experienced EAs that use voucher programs over and over again, they will create the voucher, and during this step, they'll skip it for now by pressing the continue button in the bottom right, and they'll go back to it later. This is because they may want to organize their voucher ahead of time, maybe weeks ahead of time, and they don't want their guests to be receiving it until it's a little bit more timely, maybe the week of. So they'll press continue for now, leaving it blank, and then they'll go revisit it later. Once you are ready for your guest to receive the voucher, you upload that CSV file of your guest's name and email addresses. And after you've added your recipients or skipped that step, you choose the type of link that you'd like for your event. You can use a general voucher link, which is one unique link for all of your attendees. This is the most flexible option. However, if you do want something a bit more secure and easier to track, you can choose unique voucher links. That means that each of your guests will be receiving their own link, and it can't be forwarded or shared since it can only be redeemed once. If you are going to have Uber send them on your behalf by uploading that roster, unique vouchers links is really a more protective way so that it doesn't get into the wrong hands or shared with the wrong people. One more just kind of addition to that, even if someone is kind of a bad egg and decides to share their voucher link, you do have that maximum number of people. For example, the 100 people for our sales kickoff. If that got forwarded to 150 people, only the first 100 people are going to be able to use it. So it's not completely the wild, wild west. Okay, so after you've chosen your distribution method, you have one more opportunity to review all the details of your program. Keep in mind, you can always edit the voucher to make it larger. You can add more people, you can increase the date range or the dollar amount, but you can't make it smaller. If all looks good on your end, you confirm and your voucher is ready to be distributed. Here you can see what the user will receive. All the way to the right, you'll see the voucher details like the name, the date that it's valid for, and how much the voucher is for. And the images on the left show the different emails the user would receive based on what type of voucher it was. Once you've completed that, created that campaign, you'll be able to see it waiting for you on the home page of your vouchers dashboard. This would be under active if the start date had already begun, or upcoming if it's in the future. And if you'd like more details on how the voucher is being used, you can click into that program and see tracking information like vouchers claimed. That means that someone has it claimed, it's waiting in their Uber wallet, and then spend to date. These are transactions that have already happened, and then other tracking details. During the setup process with my team, you can let us know if you'd prefer to pay on a daily or monthly basis, and if you'd like to use a credit card or a bank wire. All of your statements will also be accessible in this Uber for Business dashboard to make expensing really easy for you. Moving on to your attendees. You've created and distributed your vouchers. Now what? Your attendee received an alert when they were sent the voucher. They got this either via email or SMS, and they're prompted to accept their voucher. It's a really clear call to action, and upon doing so, the voucher is added to their Uber wallet within their app, and this will be stored there until it's ready to be redeemed. As a user, I see a clear snapshot of what the voucher is offering me, how long it's valid for, the budget, and the name of the voucher program. The really phenomenal thing about vouchers is that as soon as the parameters are met, for example, the date and time, it will automatically be applied to my order. I don't have to manually enter anything. I don't have to remember that I have this voucher or go searching for it. As you can see on that last image, all the way to the right, just before I click on place order, it shows me that part of my meal is being covered by my voucher. Now, as a reminder, you're only charged for what gets used for the budget you set up. So if you're giving 100 people $25 off their lunch and only 80 people use the voucher, you're only paying for 80 people. If someone only uses $20 of their $25 stipend, you're only paying the 20 bucks. If they use $40, you pay the first 25, and then that overage, that extra $15 is charged their personal card. So we always encourage you, when in doubt, pad it a little bit. If you aren't exactly sure the number of attendees, add a few vouchers. If you want to make sure that people have enough budget, give them a couple extra bucks, knowing that if they don't use it, you're not paying for it. Vouchers are meant to be intuitive. We're trying to make your life easier here, both for you as the admin and for your attendee as the eater or the rider. But once in a while, something goes wrong. Don't worry, remain calm, there's help for that. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the call, everyone invited to the webinar today works at a company that is part of our strategic accounts portfolio, which means that you get white glove support. If you or one of your participants are having any type of issue, you can reach out to business-support@uber.com. What's cool about this is that based on your email address, we will identify that you are one of our strategic accounts, and your request will not only be expedited, but it will be routed to your dedicated premium support specialist. That way you have consistency, you always have the same contact, and they'll be able to help you out. You'll be eating and riding in no time, and it won't be at all a painful experience. So we're getting to the tail end of our webinar. Thank you for joining today, but we wanted to touch on some of the most frequently asked questions and then make sure that we're giving you really clear next steps on how to get started. So let's jump into these FAQs. The first one, do vouchers cover tip? This is actually a bit of a nuanced answer. For Uber Eats vouchers, yes, as long as the user has budget left in their voucher, it can be used to cover the tip. Certain countries don't allow for this, but since I think most of our attendees today are from North America, yes, that's available here. Uber Rides, however, Uber Rides vouchers do not cover the tip, regardless of the amount of the voucher and how much budget they have left over. So tips are always going to be charged to their personal card on file if it's a ride voucher. Next question, can I pay by credit card? Yes, absolutely. We give the option to pay by credit card either daily or monthly. This means that whatever charges were incurred that day, if you're on daily billing, you'll get an aggregated charge if one lump sum. If you had you will also have a statement that you'll be able to utilize as a receipt for your credit card for your expense reports. The next question, what happens if I buy too many vouchers? You may have heard me mention this once or twice, but with vouchers, there's no waste. That means each attendee can only redeem one voucher. So if there's extras remaining, they go away after the program ends and you're not charged for them. Can I make changes to my voucher program? Yes, with one caveat. Voucher programs can always expand, but they cannot contract or get smaller. That means you can add to the number of people, you can extend the duration of time or increase the budget, but you can't make any of those parameters smaller. My team is spread out all over the world. Do I need different vouchers by country? Good news, no, this is one of the huge value props and how vouchers are really different than gift cards, is that if you manage a team across multiple countries, you can create one voucher program and it will be valid anywhere that Uber Eats or Uber Rides, depending on what program you're offering, wherever we operate. And then we will convert that currency to the user's home country. And then last, but certainly not least, how can I get started? Well, this segues very well into wrapping up and what's next for you. Within the next 24 hours, you'll be receiving an email from your dedicated strategic account team. This email is going to include a link for a quick form for you to fill out. The form takes less than 1 minute to complete, but it helps us locate you in our systems so that we can easily create an Uber for Business dashboard for you. Once we create that dashboard, you'll be all set to start creating these voucher programs. But if you have questions or don't remember every step of this presentation that we've gone through today, your strategic partner can provide you hands-on support and step-by-step onboarding instructions. Thank you all so much for joining. We know that your time is extremely valuable, and we really, truly appreciate you choosing to spend that time with us. We're very excited to support you in your next event. And until then, take care and have a fantastic rest of your week. Thanks all.